Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. Surely you've already heard about the Jewish people. But have you ever come across the term Ashkenazi Jew or Ashkenaz? If not, get ready, because today I will explain exactly who the Ashkenazi Jews are, the meaning behind this name, and the fascinating origins associated with it. After all, what does Ashkenaz mean in the Jewish context? Who was Ashkenaz, and what is his connection to this branch of Jewish tradition? Let's dive deep into what defines the Ashkenazi Jews. Are they purely Semitic descendants, or do they carry influences from other peoples in their history? These questions will be answered throughout today's video, and you will discover details you may never have imagined. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and share it with your friends and family. They will also want to understand this rich and nuanced history. So, let's unravel the mystery. The origin of the Ashkenazi Jews. The Ashkenazi Jews, also widely known as European Jews, have a history deeply connected to the European continent, and this designation is no coincidence. After the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem in 70 AD, one of the most significant events in Jewish history, many Jewish communities were forced to leave the land of Israel during the diaspora. This mass exodus spread the Jewish people across various regions of the world, and a significant portion moved toward Europe, settling in areas with cultures and traditions very different from those of their homeland. As they settled in regions like Germany, France, and Eastern Europe, these Jews underwent a gradual process of integration. They adopted aspects of European cultures while preserving their religious and cultural traditions. The constant interaction with local peoples led to a blending, both cultural and genetic, creating new identities. The Jews who lived in these regions were then called Ashkenazi Jews, a name referring both to the European geographical area they inhabited and to the biblical figure Ashkenaz, a descendant of Japheth mentioned in the Old Testament. The figure of Ashkenaz is significant because, according to biblical genealogies, he was an ancestor of many European peoples. The connection between the name Ashkenaz and the region of Europe where these Jews settled is symbolic and reinforces the intersection between Semitic and European cultures. This fusion didn't happen overnight, but was a gradual process that shaped the identity of the Ashkenazi Jews over centuries of living alongside European peoples. This mix resulted in distinct cultural, linguistic, and, in many cases, physical characteristics. The Ashkenazi Jews maintained the foundation of their Jewish traditions, including the Torah and religious rituals, but also incorporated elements from the societies around them. This is evident in aspects such as the Yiddish language, which combines Hebrew with Germanic dialects, and in their cultural and artistic expressions, which reflect both their Jewish origins and European influence. Additionally, this blending also contributed to the formation of distinct physical characteristics. By intermingling with Europeans, many Ashkenazi Jews began to exhibit typical regional traits, such as light hair and light eyes, while still maintaining some of the traditional Semitic features, creating a fascinating diversity within this community. Therefore, understanding this connection to Europe and the ancient land of Ashkenaz is crucial to grasping why the Ashkenazi Jews developed such unique and distinct cultural traits. Their story is a rich tapestry that weaves together Jewish heritage with European influences, creating an identity that endured and flourished even amidst significant historical adversity. By living in European territory, known as Ashkenaz, the Jews inevitably mixed with the local peoples. This intermingling led to both cultural and ethnic transformation, and they adopted the name Ashkenazi Jews to self-identify. They recognized that they descended not only from the ancient tribe of Judah, but also from peoples inhabiting the land of Ashkenaz, a descendant of Japheth mentioned in the Bible. Ashkenaz, brother of Riphath and Togarmah, was one of Japheth's grandsons, which explains the origin of this name. This blending with Europeans also resulted in the adoption of physical characteristics common to these peoples. Many Ashkenazi Jews began to display typical European traits, such as blonde hair and softer features, while some retained traditional Semitic characteristics, like the curved or hooked nose. This mixture created a unique visual identity, blending ancient Jewish traits with European elements. Tragically, during the Holocaust, these physical traits became one of the ways Ashkenazi Jews were persecuted. The regime used Semitic features, such as the shape of the nose, to identify and target Jews, marking one of the darkest periods in human history. Now, speaking a bit about the meaning of the name Ashkenaz, it's interesting to explore its linguistic roots. In Phoenician Hebrew, the term is pronounced Ashkenazi, which would be the original form of Ashkenaz in that ancient language. In ancient Assyrian, however, the word has a different pronunciation, Azukinish, carrying the intriguing meaning of the righteous turned away or the righteous diverges. On the other hand, in Phoenician Hebrew, Ashkenaz can also be interpreted as sinful man, or in a more poetic translation, scattered fire. These variations in meaning show the depth and complexity of the name, reflecting different cultural and religious aspects. According to biblical genealogies, Ashkenaz was one of the progenitors of European peoples, especially the Scandinavians, along with various Germanic tribes and other European groups. It's possible that these populations originated in the regions of Turkey, where, according to biblical tradition, Noah's Ark came to rest after the flood. This connection between Ashkenaz and European peoples adds a fascinating dimension to the story, demonstrating how different cultures and mythologies intertwine. Ashkenazi Jews are part of a branch of the descendants of Japheth through Ashkenaz. After leaving the Middle East, these peoples first settled in Armenia. Later, they migrated northward to Europe, eventually reaching Scandinavia. It is interesting to note the phonetic similarity between the term Ashkenaz and Scandinavia, suggesting a possible historical connection between the names. Although Ashkenazi Jews originated in the Middle East as descendants of Shem through Abraham and are part of the people of Israel, their history was shaped by migration and intermarriage. As they settled in Europe, particularly in the north, they mixed with peoples of European origin, including descendants of Ashkenaz, creating a unique identity that blends Semitic and European elements. This journey from the Middle East to Europe is one of the factors contributing to the cultural and genetic diversity of the Ashkenazi Jews, making them one of the most intriguing communities in Jewish history. There is an intense debate within theology and anthropology about the true origins of the Ashkenazi Jews. Some schools of thought argue that they descend exclusively from Ashkenaz, suggesting a purely European ancestry. However, this view is widely considered a misconception. The origin of Ashkenazi Jews is more complex and multifaceted, involving both Semitic roots and European influences. First and foremost, Ashkenazi Jews are descendants of Semites, specifically from the people of Abraham. They are part of the great lineage of Shem, one of Noah's sons, and maintain this Jewish ancestry through their traditions and beliefs. However, throughout their historical journey, especially after the diaspora that led them from the land of Israel to Europe, they inevitably mixed with various local peoples, forming a new identity. This intermarriage involved not only common Europeans, but historically significant peoples such as Scandinavians, Germans, Poles, and others. Over the centuries, this blending reflected in the physical traits of Ashkenazi Jews, who began to exhibit both Semitic and European features. This diversity is visible in many aspects, such as skin color, eye color, and hair. When we observe the image of an Ashkenazi Jew, for example, we can note that they display characteristics that are not purely Semitic, but also show clear influences from the descendants of Japheth, the European peoples. These Nordic traits blend with the Semitic lineage, creating a unique identity. The European heritage that Ashkenazi Jews carry partly comes from Ashkenaz, who, according to the biblical account, was one of the grandsons of Japheth, the progenitor of many European peoples. This process of genetic mixing between Semitic Jews and Europeans throughout history shaped the Ashkenazi identity. They preserved their Jewish and cultural roots, but were enriched by the genetic and cultural influences of European peoples, forming one of the most complex and diverse Jewish communities. Thus, Ashkenazi Jews, despite being part of the people of Israel, have a history that reflects the crossing of worlds. a Semitic past, and a European journey that shaped them in unexpected and fascinating ways. This duality is one of the main reasons why the study of the origin of Ashkenazi Jews sparks so much interest and fascination. Understanding this fusion of influences helps us grasp how a people were able to preserve their religious and cultural identity while adapting to new lands and cultures, absorbing European elements into their history. Recapping everything we've covered in this video, we can see that Ashkenazi Jews have a unique identity formed by two distinct origins. On one side, there is their Semitic ancestry, which directly connects them to the people of Israel and the traditions of Abraham. On the other, there is the Ashkenazi origin, which refers to Ashkenaz, the grandson of Japheth, one of the great progenitors of European peoples, as described in biblical genealogies. This duality was solidified over centuries of migrations and diasporas. From the moment the Jews left the land of Israel and spread throughout Europe, especially in regions inhabited by the descendants of Ashkenaz, they began to mix with local peoples such as Scandinavians, Germans, and Slavs. This blending resulted in a hybrid genetic and cultural identity, yet one that never lost its Jewish roots. Therefore, Ashkenazi Jews are the result of a rich intersection of Jewish and European heritages, which shaped one of the largest and most influential Jewish communities in the world. This history of cultural fusion is fascinating and shows how the Jewish people, despite their adversities, managed to adapt and thrive in different contexts throughout history. This was another video about the branches of the Jewish people. If you are interested in learning more, we have other videos on the channel about topics such as Sephardic Jews, Mizrahi Jews, and even Ethiopian Jews, each with an equally rich and surprising history. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope you enjoyed our journey through the history of the Ashkenazi Jews. May God bless you all, and I'll see you soon.